Hello and welcome to another free code session. My name is Jason Bach, and I realized last night that I'm going to do a little bit less work. And I'm also now paranoid again because I'm looking over to my right to make sure the recorder doesn't crash, because it crashed on my last recording. And I have updated Camtasia. My glasses are not clean. I updated Camtasia. I made sure that my drivers were all updated and everything was good. And so we'll see. I don't know if it hits a limit and it just dies or something. I don't know. But anyway, so I realized that with indexers, we can't do this. And I think I still have SharpLab up. It doesn't really show it, but the problem is that even though I could do something like this, which I realized at the end of the last episode, there was something here that it wasn't returning the right, or wasn't taking an int. It doesn't matter. The point is, even if I provided a way for you to set values on an indexer, I have no way to figure out how do I push those into the getter on the object, and the mock object for that indexer. I have no way to know. I just have no clue. So this is kind of a dead issue. I don't think you can. Yeah, there's no way to like do an enumeration on an object if it provides an indexer, because you're like, well, what are the keys? You know, and if you have more than one, what would be the keys? Like if I said var CP is equal to new CP, okay, var int key in CP. It would just go like, I have no idea what you're talking about, because you don't have a get enumerator on it. And if you said this, you know, it'd also be like, I don't know. If I said int, it'd be like, I don't know. You know, and that would just, you know, it just wouldn't work as far as, you know, I have no inkling of a feature in C# that would let me do that. So what I'm going to have to do, first thing, is basically say, don't look for indexers. Because they just don't work. And I'll have to make sure that I have documentation around that. So where are we actually doing this? Recording properties. So we need to say it is not an indexer, and it's either required or it's an init. And so we do want, because it must not be an indexer, but then, yeah, these are redundant. Not redundant, just they don't need to be here. Thank you. Okay, that makes more sense. Got it. Okay, so now I think the reason I was doing that in the first place is because this test was failing, because it was suddenly starting to try to do all this stuff with required and inits. So let me just run this one first and let's see what happens. Oh crap, it's still failing. Let's see why. Oh yeah, because I can't do that anymore. Or I'm not going to do that anymore. So we don't want that anymore. Now run it. Yep, now it passed. So we're good. Okay, so we're back to normal with that. I just have to remember again to put that in the documentation. I am going to go generation test. Let's see, do we have this commented out? We still do. Okay, I am going to shut down and start up again, and I'm going to run all the tests. And let's just kind of see where the damage is with these, because now there are places where I think the constructor parameters are going to come into play, and this is also a good test just to see how this works. So let me do that, and then let's see where we're at. All right, Houston, we've got a problem, but it's a good problem in that it's actually failing the way we think it should be. So like, for example, here, it's expecting a parameter there, and now that goes away. So for all of these, since we were never providing something, we can just change at least some of these, if not all of them. What's good though is that, as you can see as I do these, eventually Visual Studio will catch up and go, oh yeah, you're right. That's fine. You know, we will want to test eventually to make sure that it's working as expected. Okay. Class property test, probably the same thing. So I'm just going to whip through all these and get them all essentially to the state that it was at by passing in a null. And then all of them should pass. Okay. And those go away. Abstract class generator with a nut. Yep. You go away. And you go away. And those should be good eventually. There's a lot of these. There's a lot of these. How many more of these are there? Okay, not a lot. There's actually less because we have the messages up. Non-nullable property values must contain a non-none value on the Oh, shut up. Crap. I forgot about that, but that's a good test. Because if the type itself is a nullable, then it's like if it's a string, maybe, then I should have the same thing on the property that we're setting. So that should actually be hopefully not too bad-ish. So when we're creating all the properties on here, I forget, can you say nullable? Yes, you can. Okay, so we're going to want to put here required property nullable annotation equals none not annotated. If it's annotated, then we want to put in, although we want to do this on the type. We just can't do this willy-nilly. We have to say this on the referenceable name here. So either it's going to have a question mark or it's going to have a string dot empty. There. Okay. So that actually I think would take care of that problem. And that's true because it may be null, and if you didn't set it and then you're assigning it to null because you made it null, I don't know, then that would actually work as expected. Okay, so let's close this. Yes. Close that. And do that. Shut down and start up again. And we'll see one real quick check here. Public required. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. So do the dance and we'll see where we're at. Okay, I think we're back to the fact that instance here is going to take a null. If I look at abstract class constructor, no, it doesn't have a, what? That's odd. Abstract class constructor does not have initters. So what's the problem? Wow, this suddenly, wait, that doesn't make any sense. How would this one change suddenly make a whole bunch of things go just completely bonkers? All you're doing is putting a question mark after the referenceable type name. That doesn't make any sense. Oh, this is that problem where you sometimes restart up again and it sometimes generates code and sometimes doesn't, which is not fun. Property polygon is probably just, and they're just getters. I don't understand how something that germane could cause such a huge problem. Let's back up for a second and let me run the tests here. Because these should still work. Okay, one passes, but one fails. Why? Why would that be? That's required. You're saying, okay, so this one's okay. So we're still doing that correctly. What's the problem here? Missing compiler, required member. Oh yeah. That's right. But that is okay. And nothing should have anything required. So Let's run all the tests and tests. Okay, we got 3 failing. 1 is probably the one in here. So we have property init create. Yeah, that's the required. That's okay. We can deal with that. Why is that failing? I have no idea. What? Event symbol extension tests. Did you... Well, this shouldn't really have anything to do with so many of those things in the integration test failing. And quite frankly, all that can move over like it should and look nicer. Now, to be fair, we did change this to being a raw string literal. I don't see how that would suddenly cause all this to go bonkers. So do we get a method? Yes, we do get a method. What's that method? Non-public, because you can't figure any of this stuff out. You got a name? Method dot foo. Okay, so there's a foo here, right here. And it has a method attribute. It returns that. It has a parameter and has a parameter type. So we're saying for this, we should get this, right? If it doesn't return void. So we have 1. Now we got 2. Still have 2. If I look at my code here, oh, you need to put these in here for those to work. I bet there's compiler errors, but in this test, I don't really look for that. Okay. So now this should work. Or at least be better than 2. Yeah, that passed. Okay. So what was the other one that failed? That was an event symbols. I bet. Same problem. Yep. Okay. Something to learn and put in the back of my head, side of my head, whatever, in my head, so I do not forget this again. Let's run this test. So that would be good because that basically says that from that perspective, all that's working, and that should be just fine. Okay. I'm actually going to uncomment the code generation test. Not that that proves anything, but I want to run these as well. So this is going to take a little bit of while. Well, we'll see what this does. And those pass. So I'm a little bit befuddled. I don't understand why all the integration tests are having such fits. Shut down and start up again. Let's see if that actually helps. Okay, now I'm just flat out confused. The integration tests are completely flailing, and they shouldn't be flailing. There's no at least I can't think of a reason off the top of my head with all the stuff I've been doing with the init and required parameters that this would be suddenly breaking as bad as it is. It won't even generate any of the files, any of the data, any of the source generated files. I really am completely stumped at this point. So I'm not really sure what to do. This should just work. I'm stymied, to be blunt. Yeah, this just references from there. We don't reference it from the local. Wow. Is this working? Like, none of them are working. Does not contain a definition for instance. Does not contain a definition for methods. Does not contain it's like it's just not doing code generation. So you know what? I'm going to stop here and figure this out offline, because I don't know. I have absolutely no clue where this is failing. It's like it's not even getting into, and it's referencing it like an analyzer project. So, man, I'm stumped. I'm really, really stumped. I do not know, but watching me struggle through this is not going to be fun. So hopefully in the next episode, I'll have figured this out and hopefully come up with an answer to this. The next thing would be is just make this work for makes. And hopefully that doesn't break everything in the world. And then update the docs I'll do offline. But then that should be it for C#11 things that we can do. So, hopefully in the next episode, I'm back to normal. Thank you all for watching. Leave comments and questions below. See you in the next episode.